Oh. Welcome to Meaningful Mornings. Last night, we had our Silence Culture Workshop for June. And I was sharing with all of the seekers, in the first half of 2022, our community has experienced 2 retreats and 4 workshops, all training in silence, and collectively, this is 111 hours. That is a lot of training in silence. And all of this training begins with be appreciative for what you have. All of you, be appreciative for what you have. Being appreciative for what we have is a catalyst to being appreciative of who we are. Tomorrow, registration for our next retreat will be open. Our next retreat is August 5th to the 7th for 64 hours. And that number sounds intimidating. Reflect on everything else you do for 64 hours. Has that helped you become more happy? In chapter 8, verses 5 through 7, Sri Krishna has shared, as you think, so your destination. He's positioning this teaching at the time of death. As you think, so your destination. Your thinking will determine your rebirth. For how many of you, this is the first time you're hearing such a teaching? Okay, very few. When we take this literally only, then we postpone changing our thinking. When we reflect on this teaching, what can also be shared is, as you think, so you develop. As you think, so you develop. That is no longer restricted to the time of death. That's no longer applicable only to rebirth. That applies to every moment, to every experience. If I think in a complaining way today, the next hour, the next phase of the day tomorrow is going to be more cranky. Agreed? And if I think cheerfully today, the next hour, the next phase of the day, tomorrow will be more cheerful. As you think, so you develop. What should we be thinking about? In verse 8, the last line, Paramam Purusham Divyam Yati Partha Nuchindayan. Partha. Partha right now has around 250 names, meaning all of yours. Anuchindayan. The majority of your thinking should be directed towards the fundamental, not the functional. The functional will keep you in the world. The fundamental will make you independent of the world. Some ways to help us to think of the fundamental. The fundamental is paramam, existence. Purusha, joy. Divyam, awareness. Puja Swami Tejomayananda shared with us. Remember, these chapters are on bhakti. Bhakti means love. Bhakti means dependence. The virtue that precedes bhakti. This is needed, then one can engage in bhakti, is Shraddha. If we have faith, we will love what we have faith in. If we are faithful, we will depend on the direction of that faith. And faith is nurtured by manana, or reflection. These teachings, this verse, the one I'm going to speak about today, tomorrow, demands reflection. So there's more Shraddha, more bhakti. Zooming into this in a daily sense. All of us are engaged in sadhana. That is an effort to be joy. As we aspire, we often fall, falter, complain, blame, annotate, and so on. As you're trying and you find that you're faltering, forgive yourself. Sadhana technically is linear, practically is not. Like raising our two young children, every day is different with them. Their eating habits, their moods, and so on. We are the same way. We have good days, we have bad days. Forgive yourself so that you keep moving inward. If you learn to forgive yourself, you will learn to forgive others. Why this is important? Because our anuchindayan should not be on our family, on our professional teams, on our professors, on our coworkers, and so on. They said this, they didn't say this, they did this, they didn't do that. By forgiving them, you let them out of your mind so that your mind can be filled with Paramam Purusham Divyam. Whatever you need to do to forgive yourself, do this so that you can do this with others, so that you can be more inward looking, inward thinking. Verse 9. Kavim Puranam Manushasitaram Anoraniyam Samanusmaridyaha Sarvasya Dhataram Achintya Rupam Aditya Varnam Tamasaf Parastat. Almost all of these words are indications of what we should be reflecting on, what we should be thinking about so that we re-become this. Kavim. Kavi typically is described as a poet. More fully, a kavi is one who is knowledgeable. Even more fully, that knowledge is only because of awareness. Awareness precedes knowledge. Knowledge precedes being a poet, a scholar. Awareness is indicated. Puranam technically means a scripture. It is a type of scripture that is educational. Puranam more fully means Pura Eva Nava. Pura means ancient. Nava means fresh. So a Purana is that which is ancient, yet fresh. The language I used last week was authentic and accessible. That is Purana. Anushasitaram technically means the one who controls. The language that we have been using is nigraha. The creator is the one who controls creation. What's behind the creator? Consciousness. When one is practicing reflection and contemplation, one should go to the depth where you can't go deeper. Next word, anoho aniyamsam. Anu means an atom. Aniyamsam means that which is smaller, minuter, subtler than an atom. Okay, so that's the technical meaning. The implied meaning here, if you ask a typical person, what is the cause of creation? They will share it's the Big Bang Theory. What is the Big Bang Theory? It is a play of energy. But for those who are deeper, where did this energy come from? How is there energy? It is because of existence. Energy depends on existence. Existence does not depend on energy. That's what that term means, existence. Yaha, that means you. Anusmaret. Earlier the word was anuchintayan, now anusmaret. One is to comprehensively think about this. I like this word smaret because it comes from smarana. I've shared multiple times with all of you. Our evolution is to be from dharma to sat dharma, and that happens in 4 ways. Smarana, dana, pratignya, rakshita. That is what makes us go from being good to being great. Smarana, remembrance. Sarvasya dhataram. The one who is the support of all. Every semigod, human, animal, plant, stone, the feeling we've been exploring is anugraha. Nigraha means controller. Anugraha means the blesser. I know I came up with a better word, but I can't think of it right now. It is only one who's in control of themselves that they can help another. They can bless them. They can grace them. Achintya Rupa. Very literally, this means don't worry, be happy. Achintya, stop worrying. Worrying doesn't work. It is a waste. But more so, Achintya Rupa means you cannot become this. You cannot become all of these indicative words. You can only be this in a daily sense. For all of us to live in a less material way. If we're to practice Vedanta, we should focus less on materials, less on getting materials, less on giving materials. In our travels, when people give our children gifts that are material in nature, it almost takes our parenting back many steps. Because we don't do that. And now someone's doing that, and it's pulling them to be extroverts rather than introverts, correct? Aditya Varna, the one of the color of light. Tamasaf Parastad, the one that is beyond darkness. These are the literal meanings, but here's the fuller one. And the whole chapter will continue based on this last line. Every one of us has two paths we can follow. The path of the sun, Aditya Varna, or the path of the moon, Tamasaf Parastad. The path of the moon is a path of dependence. The moon doesn't have its own light, correct? The path of the sun is a path of independence. It has its own light. Turning this into our day, the path of the moon is a path of valuables. Then the path of the sun becomes path of values. Anusmare, comprehensively contemplate on these words, these indications of who you are. From inspiration to application, your application for the past days was to work harder. How many of you tried? If you worked harder, I'm sure you slept better too. I have found the secret to working harder is to ask for help. That asking for help is smarana. When I remember who I'm working for, I just develop new energy, new enthusiasm. Your application for this morning, out of these 8 indications shared only in this verse, verse 9, which indication is most moving to you and why? State it and write about it on our website so I can reflect on your reflections. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Be safe, be sound, be serene, be joy.